The silence of deep space was not empty. It was heavy. It pressed against the hull of the Iron Vindicator, a massive dreadnought serving as the flagship for the Keystone Armada. Commander Kalen stood on the bridge, his hands clasped firmly behind his back. He was a tall figure with pale skin and sharp features, typical of his kind. He looked out the main viewport at the swirling colors of a nebula they were leaving behind. Ahead of them lay a small, yellow star. It was an unremarkable point of light in a vast ocean of stars, but to Kalen, it was a target. The navigation computer displayed the name of the system in bold, red letters. "So, report on the target system," Kalen said. His voice cold and steady. Officer Mark turned from his console. Mark was not a soldier by birth, but a technician drafted into the service. He looked tired. Sensors confirmed the presence of the third planet, Commander. It is called Earth. Atmosphere is mostly nitrogen and oxygen. It is teeming with life. Teeming with vermin, Kalen corrected. He walked down the ramp from his command chair to stand closer to the screen. "What is the status of their defenses?" Mark tapped a few buttons, bringing up a holographic diagram. "They have orbital platforms, satellites, some primitive space stations. But their technology is basic. They use chemical rockets and fission weapons. They do not possess shielding. They do not possess faster-than-light travel. They are confined to their own gravity well." Kalen let out a short, sharp laugh. "Confined. Like rats in a cage." He looked around the bridge at his crew. "This Armada has conquered 1,000 worlds. We have crushed civilizations that could move moons. Do they really think a few floating metal tins will stop us?" "No, sir," Mark replied quietly. "They likely do not even know we are here. Our stealth fields are active. Their primitive radars cannot penetrate our hull." "Good," Kalen said. "I want them to see us only at the very end. I want them to look up from their little mud ball and see the sky blackening with our ships. I want them to feel despair before they feel fire." He turned to the communication station. "Signal the fleet. All ships, advance to attack speed. Patton Delta, we will bypass the outer debris field. They call it the Kuiper Belt, correct?" "Yes, sir," the communication officer answered. "We will jump inside the orbit of their largest gas giant. From there, we launch the drones. I want this over before their sun sets on the Western Hemisphere." The Keystone Fleet was a beautiful thing to behold, if one appreciated death. There were 3,000 ships, ranging from massive dreadnoughts like the Iron Vindicator to small, agile attack craft. They moved in perfect synchronization, a swarm of metallic locusts descending on a field of wheat. As one, they engaged their faster-than-light drives, stretching the stars into long lines of light before vanishing into the void, reappearing instantly at the edge of the Sol System. Meanwhile, in the Sol System, the mood was tense but disciplined. On board the Aegis, the flagship of the United Earth Defense Coalition, Commander Alex sat in the captain's chair. The bridge was quiet, the hum of the engines the only sound. Alex was a man in his late 40s, with graying hair and eyes that had seen too much simulation of war. He stared at the massive main screen, which currently showed a map of the solar system. Red dots were appearing near Jupiter, moving fast. "Contact confirmed," said Jessica, the tactical officer. She was young, but her hands were steady on the controls. Multiple signatures. "Gravity displacement is off the charts." "It's not a scouting party, Alex. It's the whole fleet." Alex nodded slowly. He did not look surprised. "How many?" "Counting. 3,000, Jessica reported. Her voice was tight. "It's an armada." 3,000, Alex repeated softly. "And we have what? 50 ships?" 50 active combat vessels, Jessica confirmed. "Plus the orbital defense platforms around Earth and Mars." David is not going to like this, Alex muttered. He pressed a button on the arm of his chair. Connect me to the Admiral. A few seconds later, the face of Admiral David appeared on a small screen to Alex's right. David looked older than Alex, his face lined with worry, but his eyes were hard steel. He was on Earth, in the command bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Alex, David said. You see them? I see them, Alex replied. They bypass the outer picket lines. They are brave or arrogant. Probably both. They are powerful, David said. Our intelligence suggests their ships outgun us 10-1, maybe 100-1. If we try and meet them head-on at Jupiter, we will be vaporized in minutes. I know, Alex said. So we don't meet them at Jupiter. David was silent for a moment. He looked at some papers on his desk. The plan is still in effect? The one we discussed? It is the only plan we have, Alex said. Do you doubt it? I doubt it will work, David said honestly. But I doubt our survival more if we don't try it. He looked up at the camera. We are the doorstop of the galaxy. Alex, we are the only thing standing between them and the billions of people on Earth. If we fail, there is no second line. I understand, sir, Alex said. Then go, David ordered. Make them bleed. Make them regret ever looking in our direction. The screen went black. Alex took a deep breath. He stood up and walked to the center of the bridge. The crew members, all men and women who had volunteered for a mission they knew might be a one-way trip, looked at him. They did not look terrified. They looked ready. Hear this, Alex said, his voice projecting across the room. The enemy is at our gate. They see us as dust. They see us as a nuisance to be swept away before they take our home. He paused, looking at the red dots on the screen that were inching closer to Mars. They expect us to fight. They expect us to scream and fire our missiles and die gloriously. We are not going to give them that satisfaction. Not yet. Jessica looked up from her console. Sir, the alien fleet is hailing us. They are transmitting on all frequencies. Put it on the main speaker, Alex ordered. A booming, arrogant voice filled the bridge, echoing slightly. It was translated into English instantly, the voice smooth and mocking. Asterisk. Attention, creatures of Earth. This is Commander Kalen of the Keystone Dominion. Your world has been judged. Your technology is primitive. Your existence is an offense to the order of the galaxy. Lay down your arms and prepare for subjugation. Resistance is not only futile, it is irritating. Do not bore us with a desperate struggle. Accept your end. Asterisk. The message cut off. The bridge crew remained silent. A young ensign named Ryan clenched his fist on the railing. Irritating? He whispered. They think we are irritating? Alex smiled, a cold, thin smile that did not reach his eyes. Arrogance is a weakness, Ryan. It makes them sloppy. They think they have already won. They think the battle is just a formality. He walked back to his chair and sat down. He straightened his uniform jacket. Jessica, Alex said calmly, is the fleet in position? Yes, sir, she replied. All 50 ships are holding station behind the moon's dark side. Power is routed to secondary systems. We are running on minimal emissions. Good, Alex said. He watched a tactical map. The red dots of the alien Armada were swarming past Mars now. They were moving freely, taking their time. They were in no rush because they did not think Earth had a way to hurt them. Commander Kalen wants a show, Alex said to the room. He wants to see fear. He wants to see us scramble. Alex leaned forward, his eyes locked on the enemy formation. Let's disappoint him. He pressed a button on the console. Engineering, cut main power. Switch to battery life support. Shut down the active radar. Disable the targeting computers. Sir? Jessica asked, surprised. We will be flying blind. We won't be able to shoot back. We won't need to shoot back yet, Alex said. Initiate protocol Silent Night. Tell the other captains. No engines. No lights. No signals. We become ghosts in the dark. Aye, sir, Jessica said. She began typing the command. Across the solar system, one by one, the lights of the human fleet flickered and died. The Aegis went dark. The heat signatures vanished. The radio waves stopped. From the bridge of the Iron Vindicator, Kalen watched the tactical display. The human energy signatures are disappearing, he noted, confused. Are they powering down? They are surrendering, Mark said, sounding relieved. They are shutting down their weapons to show submission. Kalen laughed, a loud, harsh sound. Cowards. I expected more of a fight. He waved his hand dismissively. Ignore the small ships. Focus on the planet. Prepare the glassing beams. Let's turn their oceans to steam. The alien fleet surged forward, confident and blind. They flew into the trap, eyes closed, laughing at their easy victory, unaware that the darkness around them was not empty space. It was a waiting mouth, wide open. The bridge of the Iron Vindicator was filled with the low hum of satisfied conversation. Commander Kalen sat in his chair, watching the blue and green marble of Earth grow larger on the main screen. It was a beautiful planet, he had to admit, but beauty meant nothing to the Keystone Dominion. Only resources and order mattered. The planet was spinning lazily, unaware of the doom hanging over it. Sensors show no active energy signatures from the human fleet, Officer Mark reported. His voice was relaxed now, the earlier tension gone. The readings we had near the moon have faded completely. It appears they have fully powered down. Kalen smirked. They are hiding in the shadow of their moon, hoping we will overlook them. Pathetic. He stood up and adjusted his uniform tee. Eunuch. Orbit the planet. I want a clear view of the northern hemisphere before we begin the bombardment. The massive alien ships moved with terrifying grace. They were sleek silver vessels that reflected the light of the distant sun. There were so many of them that they blocked out the stars. They moved past the moon, ignoring the gray rock completely. To them, the moon was just a lifeless stone. The real prize was the blue world ahead, inside the Aegis, which was drifting silently in the dark shadow of the moon. The silence was heavy. The air was cool because the life support systems were running on the lowest possible setting. Alex sat in his chair, the only light on the bridge coming from the dim red glow of the backup tactical screens. Around him, the crew waited. They were wrapped in their flight suits, some breathing slowly to stay calm. Jessica sat at her station, her eyes flicking over the analog gauges. They had turned off the digital computers to avoid detection. They are moving past our position, she whispered, her voice barely audible in the quiet room. The lead ships are huge. Alex did not turn around. He kept his eyes on a small periscope-like viewer that showed the space outside the ship without using electronic sensors. Steady, he said softly. Let them feel comfortable. Let them feel like they own this place. On Earth, in the deep command bunker, Admiral David was watching a large monitor. The screen showed a live feed from a telescope on the ground. The alien ships were clearly visible now, bright silver dots against the blackness of space. They were terrifyingly close. Sir, a communications officer said, we are receiving a transmission from the aliens. It is on a loop. They are broadcasting it to every city on the planet. David nodded. Let's hear it. The voice of Kalen filled the bunker, echoing off the concrete walls. Asterisk. People of Earth, look up. See the stars disappearing? That is the shadow of our power. We have deactivated your pitiful fleet. You have no shield. You have no hope. Surrender now, and we will spare your slaves. Resist, and we will burn your cities until the ground is glass. Asterisk David gripped the edge of his desk. His knuckles turned white. He had spent his entire life preparing for this moment, but hearing the arrogance in that voice made his blood boil. They talked about enslaving his species. They talked about burning his home. "Sir, the media is in a panic," the officer said. "The internet is going crazy. People are rioting in the streets." "Let them panic," David said, his voice like stone. "Fear keeps them alert. Just make sure the shelters are open. We buy time with their fear." He looked at the tactical map. The red dots of the enemy were swarming around the planet like angry bees. They were taking up positions to fire. "Is Alex in position?" David asked. "The Aegis is dark," the officer confirmed. "All 50 ships are drifting. No radar pulses. No engine heat. They are invisible to everything but the naked eye." Back on the alien flagship, Kalen was growing bored. He had expected a chase. He had expected a heroic, futile last stand. Instead, the humans were just sitting there, silent and dead in space. "Are they alive?" Kalen asked, walking to the tactical display. "Scan the moon shadow again. Use high-resolution lenses." Mark typed on his console. "Scanning. Sir, I see debris. It looks like they might have scuttled their ships. Some of them are drifting apart." "Suicide," Kalen said, shaking his head. "They destroyed their own ships rather than face us. How disappointing." He sighed dramatically. "Very well. If they will not fight, we will simply destroy the remains and move on to the planet. Target the major landmasses. Focus on North America and Asia. Break their spirit." "Targeting locked," the weapons officer said. "Charging glassing beams." "Fire when ready," Kalen ordered. He sat back down, picking up a drink from the armrest. He wanted to sip something cold while he watched the world burn. On the bridge of the Aegis, Ryan was watching a small mechanical gauge. The needle was trembling. "Sir," he said, his voice shaking slightly, "I am reading a massive energy spike from the enemy formation. They are charging their main weapons." Alex looked through the viewer. He could see the bright flashes of light as the alien weapons powered up. They were beautiful in a deadly way, like lightning trapped in a bottle. "They are going to fire," Jessica said, panic rising in her throat. "Alex, if they fire, millions will die. We have to move now." "Not yet," Alex said. He checked his watch. They were seconds away from the firing sequence. "Alex, please." Chris, the pilot, whispered loudly. "They are locking onto New York and Beijing." "Wait," Alex commanded. On the Iron Vindicator, the weapons officer counted down. Weapons charged. "Firing in 3, 2. Kalen raised his glass. "Goodbye, Earth. 1. The bridge of the Aegis was so quiet that Alex could hear his own heartbeat. The alien ships were about to unleash hell. The humanity on the ground below was holding its breath. This was the moment. If they waited any longer, the beams would cut through the atmosphere and melt the cities. But Alex needed them to be fully committed. He needed them to focus all their attention on the planet. He needed their sensors to be looking down, not sideways. "Fire," Kalen said. The beams lanced out from the alien fleet. Bright spears of red light that tore through the darkness of space. "Now," Alex said, his voice calm and clear. "Jessica, execute protocol Silent Night. Activate the gravity well." Jessica slammed her hand down on a large red button. The effect was not an explosion. It was not a loud noise. In space, there is no sound. The effect was a shift in light. Suddenly, around the alien fleet, the stars disappeared. A massive, spherical field of darkness expanded from the hidden human ships, swallowing the alien Armada. On the Iron Vindicator, The view screen flickered and went black. The red beams that were heading toward Earth hit the edge of the field and bent, twisting off into deep space, missing the planet entirely. "What is this?" Kalen shouted, spilling his drink. "Why did the screen go black?" "Sensors are blind, sir," Mark yelled, tapping his console frantically. "I am getting null data. The gravity readings are. They are impossible. They are spiking everywhere." "Switch to visual," Kalen ordered. "Visual is black, sir," Mark replied, his voice high with fear. "It is like we are inside a black hole. We cannot see the stars. We cannot see the planet. We cannot see anything." The alien fleet had drifted into a trap. It was not a physical net, but a technological one. For years, humanity had been working on a way to bend light and gravity, not to travel, but to hide. They had created a bubble that absorbed light and scrambled sensors. To the aliens, they were suddenly floating in nothingness. On the Aegis, the crew watched the green status lights on their consoles. The trap had worked. The alien fleet was now inside the dark matter shroud. "Report," Alex said. "The field is stable," Jessica said, a smile finally appearing on her face. "They are blind. Their navigation systems are crashing because the gravity readings are fake. They are flying in circles, and they don't even know it." Alex leaned forward. "Let's see how they like being the rats in the cage." Inside the shroud, the alien fleet was in chaos. Ships were turning wildly, trying to figure out where they were. "I have a collision warning," a pilot screamed on the alien comms channel, which the humans were now intercepting. "Watch out!" A massive cruiser smashed into the side of a destroyer, the impact silent but devastating. Metal tore apart, sending debris flying into the void. The aliens, who could see nothing, were crashing into each other. Kalen stood up, gripping the railing of his bridge. "Stop the ship. Full stop. Do not fire." "It is too late, Commander," Mark yelled. "The fleet is panicking. They are activating their thrusters to move away, but they don't know which way is away." The silence of the void was filled with the silent destruction of the greatest armada the galaxy had ever seen. And they still had no idea who was doing it to them. "Earth is safe," Alex whispered. "For now." He looked at his crew. "Now, the real work begins. Panic is a cold thing. It starts in the stomach and climbs up to the throat like ice." On the bridge of the Iron Vindicator, Commander Kalen felt this ice gripping him. He stood in the center of chaos, but he could not hear it. In the vacuum of space, there is no sound. The destruction of his fleet was a silent movie of horror. He watched on the main view screen, or rather, he watched the lack of a view. The screen was not broken. It was simply showing him nothing. "Report." Kalen screamed, his voice echoing in the quiet bridge. "Why are the sensors blank?" Officer Mark was hunched over his console, his fingers flying across the keys, sweat dripping from his forehead. "The gravity field is wrong, Commander. It is wrapping around us. The computer says we are nowhere. We are nowhere." "What does that mean?" Kalen demanded, grabbing Mark by the shoulder and shaking him. "Fix it." "I can't," Mark cried out. "The light is bending. The stars are gone. We are flying blind." Suddenly, the ship lurched violently to the left. Kalen was thrown to the floor. The artificial gravity stuttered for a moment before stabilizing. Alarm lights began to flash, painting the bridge in a strobe of red and emergency blue. "We have been hit," a tactical officer shouted. "Port side. Hull breach in Sector 4. "By what?" Kalen asked, scrambling back to his feet. "Who was shooting at us?" "I don't know," the officer replied. "There is no firing signature. No missile lock. We just got hit. Outside the ship, inside the vast sphere of darkness known as the dark matter shroud. The truth was terrifyingly simple. The human fleet was not using high-energy weapons. They were not using lasers that gave off a massive heat signature. They were using kinetic weapons, dense, solid slugs of metal fired from railguns at incredible speeds. And because the human ships were shielded by the same technology that was blinding the aliens could not see them coming. On the Aegis, Alex stood perfectly still. The bridge was illuminated only by the soft glow of the tactical map. On the screen, the red dots of the alien fleet were scrambling. They were bumping into each other, turning in circles, firing blindly at empty space. It was not a battle anymore. It was a slaughter. "Target the largest ship," Alex said, his voice calm. "The one in the center. That is their flag." Jessica's fingers moved quickly over the analog controls. "Target locked." "The iron vindicator." "They are drifting to the left. They are confused." "Fire," Alex ordered. A low thump vibrated through the floor of the Aegis. It was the sound of the massive railgun accelerating a tungsten rod to a fraction of the speed of light. The weapon was silent to the outside world, but deadly miles away. The tungsten rod slammed into the engine vents of the iron vindicator. The impact was catastrophic. The engines did not explode. They simply disintegrated. The force of the blow spun the massive dreadnought around like a toy. On the alien bridge, sparks flew from the ceiling. Consoles exploded, showering the crew in glass and fire. "Engine failure," Mark screamed, clutching his face where a piece of shrapnel had cut him. "We are losing power. Life support is failing." Kalen looked around him. His beautiful bridge was falling apart. His crew was bleeding, and the enemy was still invisible. "Switch to emergency power," he yelled. "Turn on the external floodlights. If the sensors are blind, we will use our eyes." "Floodlights on," a crewman confirmed. Outside, the powerful spotlights on the iron vindicator snapped on. They cut through the darkness of the shroud, but they revealed nothing. The beams of light hit empty space and dust. The human ships were painted with a special light-absorbing coating. To the alien floodlights, the Aegis and the other human ships were as dark as the void itself. "They are ghosts," Kalen whispered. He gripped the railing so hard, his metal gloves dug into the material. "They are demons." Inside the Aegis, Ryan watched the alien lights turn on. "They are lighting themselves up, sir," Ryan said, a grim satisfaction in his voice. "They look like lighthouses in the dark." "They are afraid," Alex said. "Good." He turned to the communication station. "Open a channel to them." "All frequencies." "Channel open, sir." Alex leaned into the microphone. He did not shout. He did not threaten. He just spoke the truth. "This is Commander Alex of the Earth Defense Forces. You came to our home to bring death. You found the dark instead. We are not hiding from you. We are the darkness. Look around you. Your fleet is dying, and you cannot even see what is killing you." On the iron vindicator, Alex's voice boomed over the speakers, calm and terrifying. It sounded like it was coming from everywhere at once. Kalen slammed his fist on the console. "Silence that voice. Find them. Scan the darkness. Use thermal cameras. Use something." "Thermal is negative," Mark reported, his voice trembling. "The cold of space is masking them. They are matching the background temperature perfectly. They are invisible." Another thump shook the ship. Then another. The human fleet was coordinating their attacks. They were targeting the weapon systems of the alien ships, stripping them of their teeth one by one. On Earth, David stood in the command bunker watching the data stream. "They are doing it," he whispered. "The shroud is holding. The aliens are paralyzed." "Sir, the alien ships are trying to regroup," an analyst said. They are moving closer together, forming a sphere. Defensive formation, David noted. They are trying to protect their flagship. They are too late, David said. Alex has them. Back in the void, the situation for the Keystone Armada was going from bad to hopeless. Without sensors, the alien pilots were flying blind. They were relying on orders shouted over the radio, but the radio waves were being jammed by the human ships. Commander, we have lost contact with the 4th and 7th squadrons, Mark reported. They are gone? Gone? Kalen asked, his eyes wide. How can 300 ships just be gone? Destroyed, sir. Or drifting. We don't know. Kalen looked out the viewport. The floodlights were still on, but they only showed swirling dust and the twisted wreckage of alien ships that had collided. He saw a destroyer drifting silently, its side torn open, air venting out and freezing instantly. It was a graveyard. We have to retreat, Kalen said suddenly. Retreat, sir? Mark asked. To where? We don't know which way is home. The navigation computer is dead because of the gravity interference. Engage the engines manually. Kalen roared. Pick a direction and fly. Break through this field. Blindly? Mark asked. We might crash into a star or a planet. We will die if we stay here. Kalen shouted Dot on the Aegis. Jessica watched the alien ships begin to move randomly. They are panicking, Alex. They are running in all directions. Some are heading toward the sun, others toward deep space. Let the ones heading to deep space go, Alex said. We don't need to chase them. Focus on the ones still near Earth. Chris, take the Aegis in closer. I want to be right in the middle of them. Chris grinned, his hands gripping the yoke. This is like flying through a haunted house, but we are the ghosts. The Aegis glided silently through the darkness. It passed within a few hundred meters of a massive alien cruiser. The alien ship was huge, bristling with guns, but the guns were silent. On the alien hull, lights flickered. Through the portholes, Alex could see the alien crew running back and forth, terrified. They can't see us, Ryan said, looking out the window. We are right next to them, and they have no idea. It is the ultimate irony, Alex said. They came to conquer us because they thought we were primitive. They thought technology was about big guns and loud engines. They forgot that the most advanced weapon is the one you cannot see. He watched the alien ship drift away. Prepare the boarding pods, Alex said quietly. Boarding pods? Jessica asked, surprised. Sir, we are winning the space battle. Why risk soldiers inside their ships? Because we need information, Alex said. And because we need to send a message. I want Kalen to see who beat him. I want him to look a human in the eye before he runs. But the fleet is blind, Jessica said. We will turn off the cloak for one ship, Alex decided. Just for a moment? Just long enough to dock. That is suicide, Jessica said. It is necessary, Alex corrected. Prepare the pods. Inside the Iron Vindicator, Kalen felt a shudder run through the ship. What was that? Something hit us, but it didn't explode, Mark said, confused. It attached to our hull. Near the airlock. Attached? Kalen drew his sidearm, a sleek energy pistol. They are boarding? In the middle of this chaos? It seems so, sir. Kalen looked at the bridge door. For the first time in his life, he felt true fear. He was the commander of the greatest armada in the galaxy, and he was about to face an enemy he couldn't even see on his own ship. Seal the bridge, Kalen ordered. Let no one in. We fight them here. The lights flickered again. The voice of Commander Alex came over the speakers one last time. Open the door, Kalen. The dark is here to stay. The silence inside the Iron Vindicator was heavy, broken only by the crackle of sparking wires and the hurried breathing of the bridge crew. Commander Kalen stood with his back to the main door, his energy pistol held in a shaking hand. He was a commander of thousands of ships, but now he felt trapped in a metal box with a monster he could not see. "Status," Kalen barked, trying to sound authoritative. "The whole breach in the airlock is confirmed," Mark said, his voice trembling. "Sensors are still blind, Commander. The cameras show static. I can hear sounds in the corridor outside. Heavy boots. Metal on metal." "They are coming," Kalen whispered. He looked at his bridge crew. Most of them were technicians, not soldiers. They looked at him with wide, terrified eyes. "Hold your ground. If the door opens, fire at anything that moves." Suddenly, the blast doors to the bridge groaned. The metal twisted inward as if a giant hand was crushing it. The locking mechanisms snapped with loud pings. The door was not being cut open. It was being forced open by brute strength. With a screech of tearing metal, the door flew off its hinges and clattered to the floor. Smoke from the hallway curled into the room. Through the smoke, a figure walked. It was not a terrifying alien beast. It was a man. He wore a simple, dark pressure suit with a helmet that covered his face. In his hand, he held a weapon that looked like a bulky rifle. It was Alex. Behind Alex came Ryan and Chris, their weapons raised. They moved smoothly, checking the corners of the room. They did not shout. They did not gloat. They were professionals doing a job. Kalen narrowed his eyes. "You," he spat. "You are the leader of the vermin." Alex stopped in the center of the bridge. He touched a button on his helmet, and the faceplate slid up, revealing his face. He looked tired, calm, and human. "I am Commander Alex of Earth, and you have crossed the line, Kalen. Surrender." Kalen shouted, raising his pistol. "My fleet is massive. Even if we are blind, we can destroy you." Alex looked at the pistol and shook his head slightly. "Your fleet is breaking, Kalen. They are crashing into each other. They are running out of air. They have no eyes, no ears, and no direction. And now you have no ship. Fire." Kalen screamed. He pulled the trigger. A bolt of green energy shot toward Alex, but Alex was already moving. He ducked behind a console with speed that surprised Kalen. At the same time, Ryan raised his rifle and fired. The human weapon did not shoot lasers. It shot a small, intelligent dart that sought out heat. It hit Kalen in the shoulder. The commander gasped and dropped his pistol, clutching his arm. The dart delivered an electric shock that paralyzed his muscles instantly. He fell to his knees, unable to stand. "Don't kill him," Alex ordered, standing up. He walked over to Kalen. "We are not you. We don't kill prisoners." The rest of the bridge crew threw down their tools and weapons, raising their hands in surrender. They looked at the human soldiers with a mix of fear and awe. For years, they had been told that humans were weak, soft creatures who lived in mud. But these humans had walked through the darkness, boarded a dreadnought, and captured the bridge without breaking a sweat. "Mark," Kalen groaned, lying on the floor. "Do something." Mark looked at Alex, then at his weapon. He slowly raised his hands. "It is over, Commander. The sensors. They are still offline. We are lost." Alex turned to Jessica on his comms. "Jessica, the bridge is ours. Kalen is captured." "Good work, Alex," Jessica's voice came through the helmet. "But the rest of the fleet is still panicking. They are firing randomly. We need to end this before they accidentally hit Earth." "I know," Alex said. He looked down at Kalen. "Order them to stop. Order them to power down their engines and surrender." Kalen laughed bitterly, though it hurt his chest. "You think they will listen to me? They cannot hear me. The comms are jammed by your field." "We will unjam the frequency for you," Alex said. "Just for your voice. But if you give an order to attack, We will leave this field active forever. You will drift in the dark until you starve. Alex looked at Mark. You. Connect me to the fleet-wide channel. Now. Mark hesitated, looking at his fallen commander. Then he looked at the rifle in Ryan's hand. He nodded and tapped a sequence into the communication panel. It is done. The channel is open. Alex tapped his helmet comms. This is Commander Alex of Earth to the Keystone Fleet. Your commander is captured. Your ships are blind. You are trapped in a gravity well of our making. You have two choices. Power down your engines and weapons immediately, and we will let you live. Or, keep fighting and die in the dark. The response was immediate. Across the comms channel, the humans could hear the chaos of the alien fleet. Pilots were screaming, ships were exploding, and captains were crying out in fear. It is working, Jessica said in Alex's ear. They are stopping. The energy readings are dropping. They are surrendering. Alex nodded. Good. Secure the bridge. Ryan, stay with Kalen. Chris, come with me. We need to take control of their weapon systems. The battle had shifted from a fight of destruction to a fight of control. The Aegis and the other human ships moved through the darkness, docking with alien vessels and capturing them one by one. The aliens, terrified of the invisible enemy, offered almost no resistance. They just wanted the darkness to end. Back on Earth, David sat in the command bunker, watching the red dots on the screen turn green. They are surrendering, he said, disbelief in his voice. They are actually surrendering. The shroud is working perfectly, sir, an analyst said. We have total control of the battle space. David let out a long breath he felt he had been holding for days. Tell Alex to proceed with caution. But tell him, he has saved us all. Inside the Iron Vindicator, Alex stood on the bridge and watched the view screen. It was still black, but he knew what was out there. He had turned the hunter into the hunted. Jessica, Alex said, begin lowering the shroud. Let them see the stars again. Let them see us. Are you sure, sir? Jessica asked. If they see us, they might try to fight back. No, Alex said, looking at the defeated Kalen on the floor. They have seen the dark. They know what we can do. Now they need to see the light. Slowly, the massive field of darkness that surrounded the solar system began to fade. The stars returned, twinkling in the distance. The blue glow of the nebula returned. And there, floating among the thousands of alien ships, were the small, battered ships of Earth. The alien crews looked out their windows. They saw the human ships. They were not monstrous. They were not high-tech nightmares. They were simple, blocky ships, patched together and worn. But to the aliens, they were the most frightening things in the galaxy. Alex looked at Kalen one last time. You came here to conquer, Alex said. But you forgot one thing. Kalen looked up, his face pale. What? We protect our own, Alex said. And we are very, very good at hiding in plain sight. Alex turned and walked off the bridge, leaving the alien crew to stare at the stars they had almost stolen. The war was over. The silence of space had spoken, and humanity had won. The silence that followed the battle was different from the silence before. It was not the heavy, waiting silence of tension, but the exhausted silence of the end. The massive dark matter shroud, which had hidden the solar system from the Keystone Armada, slowly dissolved like fog in the morning sun. As the field faded, the stars returned to the black sky, twinkling indifferently. On the bridge of the Aegis, Alex stood by the viewport, looking out at the scene. It was a graveyard of sorts, but a quiet one. The great silver ships of the Keystone Dominion were drifting, their engines cold, their lights dim. They looked like ghost ships floating in the void. The human ships, small and battered, moved among them like shepherds herding sheep. Report, Alex said, his voice rough from hours of shouting commands. Jessica sat at her station, looking tired but happy. All enemy ships have confirmed power down, sir. The Iron Vindicator is under our control. The rest of the fleet is drifting. They are waiting for orders. And the casualties? Alex asked. Minimal for us, Jessica said. Some damage to the hull from debris, but no human ships were destroyed. She paused. The alien fleet, on the other hand, is a mess. They crashed into each other in the dark. We estimate 40% of their ships are disabled or destroyed. Alex nodded. It is a tragedy, but it was their choice. They came for war. Sir, I have a message from Admiral David, the communications officer said. He's requesting a video link. Alex straightened his uniform. Put it on the screen. The face of David appeared. He looked older than he had a few days ago, but the weight on his shoulders was gone. He smiled when he saw Alex. Alex, David said. I just saw the tactical map. The field is down. They are surrendering. They are, sir, Alex replied. Kalen is in custody. He is broken. He didn't understand what hit him. Nobody did, David said. The galaxy will hear about this, Alex. They will hear that the greatest armada in the sector came to Earth and simply vanished. Then they will hear that we let the survivors go. Is that the plan, sir? Alex asked. We let them go. David nodded slowly. Yes, we keep their technology. We take their weapons. We strip their ships of anything dangerous. But we let the survivors return home in their emergency transport ships. Why? Alex asked, surprised. If we destroy them, the Dominion will never come back. If we destroy them, David corrected, we make martyrs of them. Other civilizations will fear us, and they will unite to crush us before we become too strong. But if we let them go, David leaned closer to the camera. We send them back with a story. We send them back to say that Earth is not a place to be conquered. We send them back to say that we can hide from anyone, anywhere. We become a ghost story. Alex looked out the window at the massive alien ships. A ghost story. Yes, David said. Fear is a better weapon than any laser. Let them wonder how we did it. Let them lie awake at night, wondering if Earth is watching them. I understand, sir, Alex said. Good job, Alex, David said. Come home. The party is waiting. The screen went black. A week later, the cleanup was nearly finished. The alien crews had been transported to empty cargo ships and given enough fuel to leave the solar system. They took with them nothing but their lives and their fear. On the surface of Earth, life was returning to normal. The riots had stopped. The shelters had opened. People looked up at the sky with relief instead of terror. In a quiet bar in New York City, Ryan and Chris sat at a small table, drinking cold beer. They were out of their uniforms, wearing simple jeans and shirts. They looked like any other young men in the city. Do you think they will come back? Ryan asked, swirling his drink. Chris shook his head. Not for a long time. I saw Callan's face when we took him off the ship. He wasn't angry. He was scared. He looked at me like I was a monster. Ryan laughed softly. We are monsters, Chris. We hid in the dark and broke their toys. We protected our home, Chris corrected, across the galaxy. In a different star system, the survivors of the Keystone Armada returned. They told their stories to the leaders of the Dominion. They spoke of the dark matter shroud. They spoke of the invisible enemy who could see them while they were blind. They spoke of Commander Alex, the human who commanded the shadows. The leaders of the Dominion listened. And they looked at the star charts, marking the Sol system with a black symbol. Do not enter.